Hey, what's up, guys? This is a video again for the hired guns thing. A little bit different of an angle, though. This is for Smiley X, and we're on the hired gun part of the forum. And this is a post that happened a few months back, but I want to bring it up because there's some important factors in it. Okay, number one, it says N close, number close, HB10 hired gun, now lost. It's a place we've all been, right? And with hired guns, you've got to realize it's a little bit of a different game. Look, all women are the same, but that first 5 minutes or that first initial action and maybe some lifestyle choices are a little bit different, okay? But once we start communicating emotionally, once we start communicating sexually, it's really all the same, all right? So basically, he talked to this girl. She thought he looked older and all that sort of stuff. He got her number, put the number in his phone, and it said her middle and first names instead of just her first. He asked if that adds any significance. I'd say no big deal. And then he says, I felt pretty good about the interaction. I sent her a text that he got from Style that says, this is a VIP number, store with care, with a smiley face, emoticon. And then it says, which is not necessarily a text that needs to be replied to, whatever. Not the greatest text. I'll tell you something else that might be helpful with that. But I would not do that, and don't read everything you get online. That's actually why we're making these videos, to really get you an enriched experience of what we're doing here. And he said, normally I'd be fine with this, but she didn't call me back. She didn't text me back. Nothing. What should I try doing? This wouldn't bother me, but she's so freaking hot. Well, here's the deal, guys. Okay, number one, with a hired gun, they get validation all day long. When you think about this, this is the number one thing, man. I remember... well, not to name any names, but when I was training about 8 years ago and I wanted to talk to bartenders and strippers, I talked to the best guy in the industry about bartenders and strippers, the guy who taught all the workshops. And he would go in there and he was actually horrible with them. He would nag and tease them. He would try and hit value with them. These girls, a bartender talks to 200, 300, maybe 500 people a night, okay? And they're dealing with some assholes. They're dealing with some drunk people. You know, they're dealing with people that are demanding their attention. They're handing out their phone number to a lot of people that they might really like, which could have been your case. Even if it's a low night, I guarantee you they get a lot more stimuli than anybody else. So even if they're working at some dive bar, they're getting a lot more stimuli. They got attitude, unless you're really fucking good. And like I said, I worked with one of the best guys in the world, and he fucked this up. Don't tease them. Don't nag them. Don't try and outvalue them. They'll kick your ass with it, okay? What you got to do is you got to realize that these women are at work, okay? And they want to have their working experience better. So I'm going to give you one tip. Number one, be the guy they take a break with, okay? Be the guy that when it's busy, they work, but when it slows down, they talk to you and you're cool to be there. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I'd say if you're going to tip at all, you don't need to tip. You need to tip normal, but pre-tip. Tip before you get the drink. You know, if you order a beer, if you order a Coke. I mean, I myself, I actually don't drink, so I might go, hey, can I get a soda water? But here's a couple bucks or whatever. Just remember my face and make me look good or whatever. You know. And it's just a super easy thing to get to know them. The other thing that I'm going to say is when you get their number, notice their lifestyle is completely different. They're waking up at 2 p.m. They don't get out of work if they're at a bar that closes at 2 until like 4. They don't get home until 4 or after that. They're going to be sleeping all day. The last thing they want to do is wake up to a thread of text messages from all the dudes that don't know how to communicate with them or girls that they gave their number to the previous night. All right? Text after 2. Text to meet up right before they show up for their shift, like 6 p.m. or something like that, where they can do it. And the other thing that I would say is don't text something that's really gamey, like this is a VIP number. You know, she gave you her number because she thought there was a genuine connection, you had a good conversation. You don't need to be, and you weren't trying to do this, Smiley X. I got you, man, I got you. But it's kind of like an asshole thing. It's like this value-based thing. It's like, hey, I'm the prize, come to me. No, man, she didn't give you her number based off of that. She gave you her number because she enjoyed your conversation. So use something called callback humor, which you can read about or whatever, and you can find a whole bunch of bad routines on it, but just do something like this. Insert something that you talked about. Hey, I was the young guy that looked a little bit mature for my age. Let's have a good conversation. I love where it left off. ... Smiley X, you know, talk soon, something like that. But allow your messages and communications to be a playing field where they can communicate on. And the last thing that I'm going to tell you with a hired gun, don't worry about the number so much. If you get it, text, don't worry. But the number one thing you can do is show back up there. Show back up there. If it's at a high energy club, show up at 9 p.m. Club's going to get busy at 10, 10:30. Show up at 9 p.m. Show up at 9:30. Show up at right before 10. It's going to be a little bit slower. You can have a conversation. You don't want to be a creepy dude that hangs around, but you can say like, hey, you know what? I just want to stop by and say hi. You're a cool person. Here's a couple bucks. Just remember me when I come to the bar, and then lay off of it. Sit there, watch sports on the TVs, talk to whoever else, and go back and visit her. The best thing you can do is be a good customer and show up at her work, because that's where her social life is, especially if she's at a bartender at a high class place. All right, a lot of stuff there. Perhaps I'll make some cliff notes on your post here. And thanks for the post. Good stuff. I know it was a little bit hard, but you got to live and you learn. All right, thanks a lot, man.